welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast, presented to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. I'm Johnny Venerable, still in my parents' guest best bedroom, but it feels good to be back, my fellas, today. Joined as always by Bo Brock, who made his PHNX Bets Daily podcast debut earlier today, as well as Damien Anderson, the pride of Northwestern, former Arizona Cardinal running back. Gentlemen, how we living on a Monday?
What's going on, man? It's Monday. That's all I'm going to say. Happy to be here with you guys. It's one of the better parts of my day, for sure.
We finally have something to talk about. It's been kind of slow. We're gearing up. Training camp is just a couple weeks away. Rookies will report on the 21st. We got the vets the 26th. We already have the open training camp dates when people are going to be able to get their first glimpse of the 2022 Arizona Cardinals. So, tempered expectations are kind of cautiously pumped up today.
I like to be near my home base just in case, Steve Keim throws a bone, we get some breaking news. I was in rural Iowa over the weekend, and I was having nightmarish scenarios of not being near a computer. If Kyler Murray's contract broke and Bo would get to do that show without me, I would be very pissed off. Thankfully, that didn't happen. We saw all the zoo animals. My sister does not leave any kind of establishment like that until we see every damn thing. So we did. 4 hours later, back in Illinois, back here with you guys on a Monday. What's up, Isaiah? What's up, Easy? No steroids. And gentlemen, we get to talk about a couple of our favorite franchise icons. One specifically, Larry Fitzgerald, was in the news as he made an appearance, I believe over the weekend on NFL Total Access, and actually had this to say about our favorite QB, Kyler Murray. This is from Larry Fitzgerald earlier this week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's nobody in the game that is as talented, that has as a diverse array of abilities in terms of his athleticism, his ability to throw the ball, going left or right. He's immensely talented. He's a guy that everybody around the league has to prepare differently for. And you bring in Hollywood. Zach Ertz is now coming into his second year, better acclimated with the system. James Conner is fully healthy going back into the year. And I really like where they are positioned. And obviously the schedule is really tough early on in the season. They're going to be without Hop, but I know Kyler has the ability and the fortitude to be able to lift his team up.
So interesting comments there. Damien, I'll start with you. So you were around the organization. You've been around Larry Fitzgerald. Those comments are relevant for a couple different reasons. First of which, we have heard rumblings. There have been kind of tea leaves that Kyler and Larry aren't the closest of folks. They've got different personalities. What do you make of those comments? Genuine coming from Fitz, or is it just kind of playing a part on national TV?
I think it's maybe, I'd say 80-20. Johnny, I think 80% of it's, genuine, and I think it's 20% of Larry not going to let, the media in on the family secrets, right? I think despite how they feel about one another, game recognizes game, and Larry sees the talent in Kyler and his ability to be that dual threat quarterback. As he mentioned, throw it from left to right, and a person that defenses have to plan for, just have to worry about Kyler Murray. And being as talented as he is, and Larry has been through, we know, the gamut of quarterbacks in terms of quarterback roulette. And to get a guy like him, I mean, does it make sense to – I don't think it makes sense to us that he would retire knowing that he has one of the best quarterbacks, arguably, that he's had. But he's maybe just getting long in the tooth and feels as though that he doesn't have – what represents Larry Fitzgerald and doesn't want to have like a, the receiver that from the 49ers that went and played on everybody's football, Jerry Rice moment. He doesn't want to have, a Jerry Rice moment, wants to just, end things his way. But I think Larry is paying respect to Kyler, things that I think anyone has played the game understands and knows that Kyler's the real deal. And the Arizona Cardinals have a chance when he's playing.
I mean, he's obviously out there on the golf course, right? It looked like he was at some sort of event. He was ready to tee it up.
Tahoe. Yep, Tahoe.
He was in Tahoe, so he might have been hyperbolizing a few things as far as the main point that he thinks he's. As far as skill set, nobody has a better skill set than Kyler Murray, and I think. Look, I don't think he's far off. But week one, they're facing the guy with the skill set that he described as far as top in the league, Patrick Mahomes, as far as being able to make any throw, the dual threat, as far as being able to move, make plays with his legs, his arm, the complete package. And I think Kyler Murray can certainly get close. He is close. And I like that Larry Fitzgerald is supporting his guy, a guy that he took the field with, and he's now the new face of the organization that Larry Fitzgerald was the face of for so many years. But, and this doesn't make, his main point make Larry Fitzgerald a liar. But, I think Kyler Murray still has a lot to prove in this league, and I'm waiting to see it. But it doesn't mean that Larry Fitzgerald's not onto something here as far as the Arizona Cardinals, their fan base backing this guy, because they absolutely should, because he's kind of a generational type talent. I just think that as far as what he outlined, Mahomes is probably the guy.
We'll get to that here. Mark Jackson asking any news about Rodney Hudson. Nothing as of late. I would say wait until the start of training camp. If he shows up, he's playing. If he doesn't, I would say he's since retired. We haven't heard anything about a replacement. Go ahead.
Real quick, I want to throw this back to you and Bo, because, I kind of got the feeling from Bo's explanation there that he wasn't super excited about what Larry said or super excited about Kyler. I mean, in terms of, and I know that, Bo, you and I talked about this, Kyler having those signature moments, right, in order to establish himself as one of the premier quarterbacks in the league. But to me, given his progression over the first 3 years in the league, what else, Johnny and Bo, does Kyler need to do to be that, to get everyone's respect? Because to me, I feel as though that he's done that. To Bo's point, he does need those signature moments, but I feel as though that he's done that without the injuries, been one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Yeah, I think perfect segue to segment 2 that we're going to talk about here in a little bit about. ESPN had a top 10 ranking, and Kyler Murray was a big omission from that list. I would say that based on where he was drafted, the expectations, I think he's lived up to those. I mean, he's a 2-time Pro Bowler, Offensive Rookie of the Year. The biggest thing for me is if K1 is healthy for 17 games, they're in the playoffs. And I can't give a bigger compliment to any singular player than you're the difference between us going to the dance and not. And then it becomes, okay, gradual steps toward winning a playoff game, winning a division. I think you have to grade Kyler Murray on a curve. This is not Dak Prescott, who gets to feast on the NFC East, right? He's in what has been the toughest division in football. So I give him the benefit of the doubt. I watch, as you guys do, every game with our eyes. We don't look at box scores to judge K1. I know what he's played with and what kind of the, inconsistencies he's had at skill positions. Jalen Blair, quick comment that I want to get to. So where is the evidence that K1 and Fitz have had beef? There have been rumblings for some time that they did not get along and just had clashing of personality traits. And I think it came to a head where Larry Fitzgerald Sr. tweeted that Kyler Murray is spoiled and needed to be humble. I think he either tweeted that or that was on radio. And you just kind of de facto assume that part of that was coming from Larry Fitzgerald. Like he's in communication with his dad. I don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but that was the big thing. It's like, hey, Larry's dad is talking about how Kyler is spoiled.
He heard something. Humble. You're saying he heard something.
Yeah. So here's let me jump in real quick, because I think as far as Larry Fitzgerald Sr. goes, Big Fitz, I think that him and his brother have both proven that they don't speak for Larry. And he might have heard something, but I truly believe when I've heard the comments from Larry Fitzgerald, I think that he actually is more on Kyler's side. There wasn't this big beef, despite what, Larry Fitzgerald Sr. was a guy who was in sports media before. He's developed his own opinions. He's seen Kyler Murray play most of his games, if not all of them. And I think he's most of that was his own opinion, not Larry Fitzgerald's, the legendary wide receiver's thoughts on Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I agree with that. And this has been dating back to Kyler's first year in the league. Yeah. Larry even had to go so far into a comment that was made, I think it was March of this past year. And somebody had tweeted out that it was reported that Kyler was one factor that Larry left the Cardinals due to his lack of humility, and he had a personality clash. And then Fitz actually responded. And I think this kind of did more harm than good. He didn't say what he said in this interview, like Kyler's super talented. He's going to do what it takes to get them over the hump. Here was his exact quote, Fitz, in March of this past year. This isn't factual information. Have never had a problem with a teammate in 30 years of competitive sports. So he kind of discredited it, but in my opinion, like he didn't go out of his way to compliment Kyler either. So I don't know. I have personally heard rumblings that they did not get along, that when Kyler got there was like other people have said this. Chris Mortensen, this wouldn't be new for Fitz to say this or to insinuate this. Kyler got the red carpet when he got there. And I'm sure that rubbed some people the wrong way because of the fact he hadn't earned a damn thing. but like they got his college coach to come coach him. He was there to save the franchise, right? Very similar to, and again, I think they have so many similarities, not with their personalities per se, but the path they took. Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. I mean, like Cam Newton went and took over that franchise for better or worse. And Kyler Murray, the day he got here, became the biggest star this franchise had from a national brand perspective. And so I think that it was just kind of the eventual passing of the baton. But it's nice to hear Fitz say these things. I think at the end of the day, Kyler was a 21-year-old coming into the league. If he didn't clash with somebody who was in their late 30s from time to time, I would think that's more of an issue, right? He's not Russell Wilson, Damien. He's never going to be Russell Wilson. And as soon as people get past that, from a personality standpoint, we'll be better off. No,
yeah. And I think that everyone identifies his skill set. But I think, guys, we also have to look at when Larry came into the league 2003, 2004, that was old school. Larry was kind of molded on, the Chris Carter, Denny Green era. So you didn't have all this individuality that we have nowadays with guys just being themselves, right? You had to conform a little bit unless you were, a Michael Irvin or one of the guys that were notable stars within the league. So I think, and not that even Kyler is that, I would say external with his emotions or anything, but just maybe in terms of his personality, that may, to your point, Johnny, that may have been a clash in terms of Larry was just saying like, hey, this is maybe my time where I don't align. I can't relate to these kids. You know what I mean? Maybe it was a situation like that. And, hey, I'm not playing to my elite level. And it's just time, right? It's just time. And I'm going to let these young bucks go and do their thing. But in terms of I like what Larry said. It was politically correct. And it was everything that people that know football think about Kyler Murray. They didn't ask him about his personality. They just asked him, what do you think about the team and his ability to lead this team? And, being that dual threat quarterback, being a guy that can make things happen, with his arm and his feet. And to me, I don't understand why he doesn't get the respect of other dual threat quarterbacks. Is it, that we've come from, guys like Michael Vick, guys like, Randall Cunningham. Is it because of their tenure versus it's only his third year, or is it, because of how he carried himself in addition to that, or how they finished the season last year? Or is it all those things, right? Because if you look at it, Johnny, and I know that, we talked about segue into the next topic. If you look at that list, it's all guys who everyone felt good about towards the end of the season, right? Like some have turning over new leaves, are going to be with a new team, right? Everything's great, right? Or finish the season where it wasn't expected how good they were going to do. But Kyler, being a number 1 overall draft pick, Johnny, you talked about expectations. You better do some things, right? Not just get to the playoffs. Like I think if, Kyler would have ended the season with 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 100 yards rushing, guns a-blazing, we would not even be talking about this situation.
He did in the Pro Bowl. He had a nice Pro Bowl showing. Does that count?
No.
Unfortunately,
Jalen, it's because he plays in Arizona and recency bias based off of that playoff game. Jalen, I think you are spot on. We're going to get to the top 10 quarterbacks according to ESPN's anonymous poll. But before we do, I want to remind everybody right now, you can actually bet on week 1. Arizona Cardinals hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. They are +3 underdog at home, by the way. Kyler Murray undefeated in week 1 games as an NFL starter. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code PHNX. Make your first deposit. Get a free bet up to $1,000. A risk-free bet. What's better than that? Using that promo code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age. Eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
All right, let's get into this conversation as far as top 10 quarterbacks. ESPN released their list today. Johnny, DA, they have execs, they have scouts, they have people that you actually respect their opinions about. It's not just some people sitting behind a computer screen and pulling up, out of thin air who they think is the top 10. Here is ESPN's poll for the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, your MVP, is number 1. Patrick Mahomes, number 2. Josh Allen, number 3. Tom Brady at 4. Joe Burrow up at 5. Matthew Stafford, 6. Justin Herbert, 7. Russell Wilson at 8. Deshaun Watson at 9. And Dak Prescott at 10. And if you notice, no Kyler Murray, no Lamar Jackson on this list. Guys, first thoughts as far as the top 10 quarterbacks according to ESPN's poll of panelists that we mentioned, guys from the NFL ranks.
I feel it's the easy list, right? Like that's what I think about. You look how the season finished. You look at the quarterbacks that were in the playoffs. You looked at who did well, right? So you're going to go with the Super Bowl champ. You're going to go with Aaron Rodgers, who seems to defeat the odds also while casting a spell on you at the same time. Like he has, that ability to just play great in inopportune times. I mean, talking Cardinals, his ability to come into State Farm Stadium and throw multiple touchdowns to no-name receivers and get that dub on the road, right? But no, as I said, I feel as though it's a safe list, not putting Kyler on that list. I mean, I have to be, cautious. My son will be hopefully in the National Football League in a couple of years, and these dudes may be reviewing them. But as I said, I would just leave it at that. It's an easy list. One, to not put Kyler in the mix of the top 10, given his ability. I just think they're all basing it off of how last year ended and just the inconsistency, maybe, Johnny, of the tale of two seasons, how he started and how he ended. Because at the beginning of the year, he was everyone's MVP. And we all know what happens when, unfortunately, at the end of the season.
Let me ask this before Johnny jumps in real quick. Do you guys feel, I was watching Moneyball the other night, a great movie on Billy Beane, the Oakland Athletics, how they kind of changed how, scouting departments were operated and how they went more analytical and stuff like that. And anytime you kind of change what people know to be the norm, and especially in pro sports, people, especially the old school thinkers, they get kind of they get upset about it, right? Do you think Kyler Murray is outside the box of what you think the quarterback position should look like as far as his height, how he kind of just navigates in and outside the box? Yeah, Do you think
absolutely. 1,000%. When everybody they think of 6'4", 220 pounds, a traditional quarterback, and if there is some variation, it's going to be a guy like Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson. Like, I mean, think about times where we compared Kyler to Michael Vick. I mean, he was an outlier. I mean, there was nobody like him who could flick of the wrist and also run a 4.3, right, and have the wiggle that he did and continue to be in games and be competitive. But I think as long as the game remains, I think that is going to be the norm, Johnny. The guys that are 6'4", 230, the Carson Palmer types. And don't get me wrong, they're going to have to be dual threat, but we all know that you can't run around forever. And what has Russell Wilson done? Although he's still mobile, but in that pocket, Patrick Mahomes as well. We'll see Josh Allen start to slow it down. Once these guys start getting hit and understand that they want to preserve their legacy in the National Football League or their time in the National Football League, they're going to be conservative with that approach and think to pass first and run second.
Let's get back to this list real quick. I would say the bottom 5 through 10 are interchangeable with the 3 that were left off, given in a week or a quarter of the season. Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen, and Brady, I think, are the unquestioned top 4. I think Aaron Rodgers being first is laughable because we've seen his inconsistencies, let's call them, in the postseason. I would much rather have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Tom Brady right now. Rodgers, to me, is an enigma. But those are the quintessential big 4, the Mount Rushmore right now. And then, it's just kind of up for debate, right? So I don't have a problem with this list. I disagree with both you from the sense that I do not think Kyler Murray was left off this list because of his physical attributes. I think it's 100% because there are people in this industry, we talked about it, that do not. No, I know, breaking the norm. No, I get that. I think Lamar is not on this list for that reason because I feel like they think it's a very special offense with Greg Roman, and it has to be tailored to Lamar's running style, and that maybe only Greg Roman could do it. Kyler could go and play in other offenses. I 100% believe he was left out of this list because of what we just talked about, the playoff loss and the embarrassment that was, and the fact that the people do not like Kyler Murray, the person. People do not like his personality off the field. Kyler Murray completes a high completion percentage, just like the best of them. He should have a 4,000-yard season under his belt. He just has not been able to stay healthy. Maybe that's part of it. His total touchdowns are up there with the best of them if you project it over 17 weeks. He doesn't have the playoff wins, right, which a lot of those guys do. Actually, all of them do, outside of Herbert. But Herbert's numbers are just so gaudy. And to your guys' point, he projects that physical presence that Kyler has. Kyler was on these lists last year, though. If we go back and look at these lists from a year ago, he was up and down all of these top 10 lists. He is off these lists, I think, 75% rationale because people do not like Kyler Murray, the person. They don't think he's a leader of men. I've heard that from people that people will not buy into Kyler Murray enough to get them to a Super Bowl. And that's unfortunate because I think we would push back and say that's not the case. Because, Jay Cutler was really talented. There are people who think Kyler Murray has Jay Cutler-esque tendencies. And, say what you want about Jay Cutler, incredibly talented, top 11, 12 pick. Lamar is its own thing because of his running ability and the offense tailored around him. Derek Carr, the Raiders are kind of an afterthought franchise. He was a second-round pick. Kyler, to me, is just like, I don't think it has much to do with this play. I think it's all the shit that's happened with Mortensen tweeting out, people don't like him, all the stuff we were just talking about with Larry, which I think most of that, 99% of that is garbage anyway. But this isn't Arizona media. This is the national media who they just scroll through Twitter and they see shit, right?
But Johnny, I feel as though that if he finishes the season, people aren't talking this way. Everybody loves a winner, so you could say what you want.
Well, the perception definitely different.
Yeah, I mean, everyone doesn't have winning cures all ills, right? And we know that if once Kyler Murray does what Kyler Murray does, all this will be forgotten, and everyone's going to love him and thinks he's the next best thing to playing quarterback. To me, I think it's more on, maybe that's a piece, but I think it's more on how he finished the season in a tale of two halves, right? You look at the body of work and you're like, to your point, Johnny, like, oh, you haven't finished the season. You don't have a 4,000-yard passing year. Yeah, you do well at the beginning of the season, but how do you finish?
Fair. That's fair.
How do you finish? I think that's what they're looking at.
And the people who voted and put Watson on this list, I think, are saying to themselves, well, yeah, off the field, we know that he can, get a bunch of 53, 52, grown-ass men to the AFC divisional round. We've seen him do that. We've seen him kick ass on a otherwise dysfunctional Houston team and carry that franchise, right? If you just put everything else onto the side.
All that other shit.
All that other shit that definitely matters, but we're not going to highlight it in this list. And that's why the Browns gave up 100.
But think about what you just said. But people are mad at Kyler Murray though.
Yeah, right.
Think about that.
I think it's dumb and stupid and ridiculous. But yes.
I think it was a perfect shitstorm too. But I mean, you take the Rams game, Monday Night Football wild card round, absolutely his worst performance of his career, and then you couple it with them making a push for a contract extension as early as they did, and then the mudslinging that went on from that, because all those reports were leaked because they needed Kyler Murray to take some hits because they needed to kind of
needed time. They
needed time. Absolutely, and it crushed him in as far as how people perceive Kyler Murray, the quarterback, the leader right now. It's in an all-time low stock. I mean, outside of the guys going into their second year, like the Trevor Lawrences, Zach Wilson, who we might talk about here, Trey Lance, guys who struggled their rookie seasons, like nobody has more room to kind of jump these lists than Kyler Murray and those guys at this point. I think that he's going to have a chance to really prove a lot of people wrong that thought, hey, this one performance does not make his career, not anywhere close. If you've been paying attention to Kyler Murray since day one, he's proven everybody that he was the right pick, number one overall, and that he can lead a franchise, and he's going to be worth every dime that they're about to sink into that quarterback. Not being in the top 10, I think, is ridiculous. You can look at Dak Prescott's numbers. They're pretty cosmetic. He's got just a juggernaut offense. But when you look at it as far as when you're trying to make the decision, would you take Dak Prescott or Kyler Murray when the game's on the line? We've already seen Dak Prescott fold several times. I mean, it's 14 seconds. He gets on the run, slides. I don't think Kyler Murray pulls that move. I don't. Am I wrong? I mean, I know we never might know the answer, but I don't think he's pulling a boneheaded move like that. I think he's too smart on the football field.
This is one game out of the season. Dak Prescott's had a nice NFL career. He's a fourth rounder. He's made a lot of money. He's a great leader. Watch Kyler Murray play Dak Prescott in week 17 last year, and he undressed the Cowboys without CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. He didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. He lit them up with Antoine Wesley. If Kyler Murray was in the NFC East, he would win the NFC East every flipping year. Dak Prescott has had the benefit of the best offensive line for the last decade, or since he's entered the NFL, and he's been in a division with a bunch of dysfunction. Kyler Murray entered the NFL for the worst offense historically the last 20 years in the gauntlet that is the NFC West, with maybe 2, potentially 3 Hall of Fame head coaches, right? And a bunch of Hall of Fame talent quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford. It just, people need to contextualize all this, but they can't, they won't, and they look at QB wins as a stat, and You have to watch the games and break it down with your eyes as well as the metrics. And Kyler Murray had the slowest receiving core. It's been outlined since he's entered the NFL. Guys can't separate. So they went and brought a bunch of new pieces here, and everybody wants to complain about losing Hopkins, and I get that. But Jalen Blair saying Dak Prescott has one playoff game win in 7 years, absolutely, with a stacked O-line, elite running back, top 10 wide receiver core. But again, I think
to me, Dak isn't even in the issue. To me, it's Deshaun and Russ. Like I think Russ is a good ass quarterback, but I think you saw last year he has Lockett. He had the big boy. What was his name, Bo?
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, DK Metcalf. Yeah. And they didn't carry this football team, Johnny. You know what I mean? So to me, it's not Dak. Like I think Dak's a solid player. To all your points, great offense, great system. It worked well for him.
People just like Dak Prescott too. I feel like he's a likable guy. He's a good leader.
He's the Cowboys quarterback.
He's Cowboys, he's perfect with his answers. Battle back from injury. I mean, it's what you want. But I mean, people like Russ too. You know, I mean, people like Russ too. And I don't know why Deshaun, you know, he's a great player when he's playing, but for all those reasons, he hasn't played for probably what's going to be 2 years. And you're throwing him on a list of the top 10 in the National Football League. Your just transitions that great where you haven't played and you're still top 10, haven't played in 2 years, and take that away from a guy that, you know, anyone that knows the game knows that if his style is multifaceted, running and passing, and if he's injured, he can't be himself. Like, okay, give him some time, let him heal up. And I just think that they're trying to look at his body of work over the last 2 years and that he hasn't finished strong. And to your point, Bo and Johnny, all the media stuff that came out regarding the contract, as you mentioned, you know, Mortensen, you know, putting up tweets there, like it wasn't good PR for him. But he's trying to do his best to address that, and all he can do is just go out there and win, like DJ Khaled. You know what I mean? That's all he can do. That's all he can do.
I think we're at the point where if there's a top 10 quarterback list and Kyler's not on it, you're boozing. You're doing too much boozing. You're not drinking responsibly like you should.
You're OG in it. You're OG, or you're OG in it.
You're the OG in it. You had too many OGs. You're responsible there too. I'm talking about Four Peaks, our new partnership over at Four Peaks. Had an incredible NHL draft party. We've got our event coming up at the end of the month. We're going to be out there doing another live show the last Wednesday of every month. We're going to be out there. Can't wait for Johnny to check out Four Peaks. It's an incredible just institution as far as Tempe goes. It's beer, it's food, it's more than that. It's just woven into the fabric that is Arizona, and we're pumped to be a part of what Four Peaks is doing, and they're pumped to be a part of what we're doing over here at PHNX Sports. Of course, you must be 21 or older to drink, and drink responsibly. And as Damien mentioned, OGs, of course, OGs is incredible. Of course, your Arizona Cannabis Kitchen, and they've got their first ever limited edition seasonal flavor, Pina Colada, perfect pineapple and creamy coconut blend. You can't beat this. Sure, you got the orange creamsicle. You want a little extra flavor? Check out their new Pina Colada flavor. Check out OG's online. They're great. Follow on Instagram. Find them on IG at OG's Brands. Of course, check them out on the web, ogsbrands.com. That's OGEEZ brands.com. You can find their products also at your local dispensary. You must be 21 years or older to purchase.
And as Bo mentioned, we can't wait to hang out with all of you at our upcoming events, not only this summer, come hang out with us at Four Peaks, but as the season kicks off, we're going to have a bunch of fun stuff, some tailgates. Whenever we get this restaurant bar up and running, PHNX, we want to see all of you out there. Come do some hanging, but do me a favor. Do not come up and cough in my face, okay? COVID-19 vaccines are free for everybody, 5 and older. Grab yourself one. Those 12 and older are also eligible for the booster. Visit azhealth.gov/find vaccine for a location nearest to you. Now, gentlemen, let's get to the story. The story everybody wants to talk about, the story that's dominating the news cycle, and that is, did Zach Wilson, quarterback for the New York Jets, former rookie last year, horrific rookie season with the Jets. More importantly, did Zach Wilson hook up with his best friend's mom? Let's look at the evidence. First things first. Zach has a girlfriend, right? High school sweethearts. It's his ex-girlfriend now. They went to BYU together. And then there was a post, gentlemen, a post from his then best friend, Dax Milne, former teammate, Milne, Dax Milne, former teammate and roommate at BYU. Okay. It was Zach's ex with Dax in a romantic, kind of looking out into the sunset type of post, right? So then everybody's up in arms that why is your best friend getting with or hanging out with your ex? And then we get this comment by his ex-girlfriend. Let's see it. If we could go to the footage, please. This is from Abby, Zach's ex. He was sleeping with his mom's best friend. That's the real homie hopper. So what she is saying is that he is no longer best friends with Dax. He is no longer with this girl, Abby, that he dated while at BYU, because he, in fact, started hanging out with Dax's mom. What do you?
He was homie hopping with his mom's friend. That's what's going on, right?
His mom's friend. Yeah, I don't know.
What did I say?
That
you
is
said Dax's
friend's mom.
Dax's mom.
It is Dax's mom.
No.
We're talking about Zach Wilson's mother.
It's Zach Wilson's mom's friend.
No.
Mom's best friend. Yes.
Are you? No, I think you guys have it wrong.
Read it again. Sleeping with his mom's best friend. That's the
Zach
real
Wilson.
Honey, it took me 17 times to read it too, bro.
Zach Wilson hooked up with Dax's mom, right?
No.
Johnny, I have the tweet pulled up.
His mom's best friend.
Who's
his mom's best friend? So it's not a Stifler situation.
So Zach Wilson's mom.
That makes
it's not a Stifler. It's not a Stifler situation. Yeah, it's not a Stifler
Explain
situation.
It to me, Bo.
So his girlfriend is just saying she's with Dax now because she found out that Zach Wilson hooked up with his mom, Lisa Wilson's friend, allegedly. We'll throw that out here.
That's not nearly as good. I was under the impression
it's not as good.
That's not nearly as good. I was under the impression he hooked up with Dax's mom, and now they're no longer best friends.
That's what I thought too.
Because they're not following
He's
each
just
other.
being petty. The ex is just being petty.
Okay.
No, he was in breach of contract. That's why she hit the free agent wire and Dax picked her up. And I think he, normally I'd say, bros before, but not in this situation.
Yeah.
I mean,
this story
can't do that.
Goes down about 6 pegs for me now. I thought he was dabbling with Dax's mom. So Dax is like, we can't be friends anymore. I'm gonna go with your ex now. But now I think Zach's just trotting around like assisted living and just looking for older women. I'm not into that. I thought it was his best friend's mom, like the dude from Four Christmases.
I got sources from my buddy Thread that it was quality though. Like the mom's friend was like some years younger.
Well, I would hope so.
And Zach was poaching. Like that's the story. So
like old town Scottsdale Cougar type, right?
There you go.
The golf cart, drive him home.
No,
we don't even know. We don't even know if Zach's mom's friend is a mom herself, like a young woman herself, or an older woman herself. This story sucks now. It's not nearly as good.
Suck.
Now.
This is a
all right, I'm on the record now officially saying everybody.
We learned that he plays more than football.
Remember that picture when he was at the draft with all the other draftees, and he looked like a 12-year-old boy from BYU, and that his little head with all the other draftees. You guys don't remember that picture?
Oh yeah.
All right. Oh, you do remember it? Okay.
I mean, the memes and the endless tweets have been amazing, though.
It's stories like this that give you faith back in the internet. Sometimes it can be a dark place and an awful place and horrible things are said, but stories like this were built for the internet, and why sometimes it still remains undefeated with stories like this.
But no, go back to the girl. Is the girlfriend? I just feel the girlfriend's being petty. Too much of a, a light got cast on her, and she's like, well, no. I'm going to put this out there. Like that's how I feel it.
So the post was on her page, right? On her Instagram post. So she puts that up, and then some guy goes to bat for Zach, just calling her out, saying she's a homie hopper. I mean, keep your friends in check. They don't need to go to bat for you in this situation if you don't know all the facts.
Dak doesn't follow Zach, according to Jalen Blair, because he's smashing Zach's. Why would Dax care then about what Zach's doing? Zach is an NFL quarterback. In the biggest media market, I think he can do all right. Remember Mark Sanchez?
He just went legendary. Well. Today he went legendary, Johnny.
No, I don't even.
Yes.
Good-looking quarterback can get older women. That's not a headline for me. Young, good-looking quarterback
Twitter it
is hooking up with his best friend's mom.
That was a better story, but
that was a much better story. And now
it wasn't factual though.
He's probably not just hooking up with his best friend's mom. He's hitting all his receivers. He's making sure he's distributing the ball a little bit.
Look out. Who they just draft out of they get Ohio State? Garrett Wilson, is he a Jet?
Look out, they got Garrett Wilson
Hide
now.
your mom, Garrett. Look out.
He's got Breece Hall as his running back now. He's going to throw it out.
It's his mom's friend, guys. It's not his
I'm so sorry, everybody. I thought that was 20 times better than
it makes everything more awkward. I mean, now her mom has to end that relationship, right? She can't be hanging out with somebody that's sleeping with her son.
Well, now she's questioning all her friends.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like now
she does need a new group of friends. That's a good point. She needs a new inner circle. She needs to get with I mean, you're going from BYU to New York City. I mean, that's a culture change in and of itself. It's like going from Maricopa to Paradise Valley.
I'm guessing, an adult, you wouldn't just go to New York and get brand new friends. I'm sure it was a friend from like Provo or wherever, BYU is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it was a New York friend. I think it was a hometown friend. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't done any research. You just think it was someone she met at, you know what I mean? Like,
I was ready to do the comparison. If it was his best friend's mom, if Kyler Murray had done this to like CeeDee Lamb or something like that, I was ready to take those kind of angles. And now I can't do that. And that's probably for the best. Be sure to like, subscribe, everybody. Leave us a 5-star review.
Somebody would have got them hands real quick, Johnny. Someone would have got them hands. Somebody
run, Kyler, run! Look out!
Somebody would have got.
CeeDee's not a small man. It's good to have the fellas back this week. We are inching our way toward training camp. We got the schedule, by the way. I think we've got it here. This is our training camp open to the public access for Cards Training Camp 2020. Here it is. Cardinals Training Camp powered by Cox. We've got kicking things off with the Back Together Saturday on the 30th. A bunch of open practices that week, the week of the 1st. And then culminating, Bo and I will be there Saturday, August 6th, the red and white practice. Love the Cardinals and what they do, open to the public. Took my son last year, who knows very little about football or had known very little up until that point. And safe, fun, family-friendly, free. I mean, you can rip the Cardinals for the lack of quality draft picks, but they do their training camp right, gentlemen.
Yeah, free parking. You get in it literally is free unless you want to buy a soda or something like that. It's a good event. It's great. It's like spring training for baseball that we have out here. It's access that you don't get, and you get to see these guys kind of behind the scenes working on their game. The red white is always a great event to take the family to, kind of introduce, like Johnny did, his son to football. Introduce your kids, your family to football, or if you're just a Cardinals fanatic, great event. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. And if you're not there, you can watch us talk about it here on PHNX Cards.
Yeah,
I would rather go ahead.
No, John. I was just going to say their practices it's like a game day event. They have inflatables, everything up in terms of concessionary. Everything in terms for the fan experience, and they also have autograph sessions and things of that nature. So, I mean, they're definitely engaged with the community. And thank you for being free parking. Appreciate it.
Free gas next, maybe fill up your car for you. I'd rather take my son to red and white scrimmages where he's not abused by opposing fan bases. We all know how that goes. You're taking young kids to a football game and you got Niner fans that just ruin it for everybody. They're the absolute worst. We're the best here, PHNX Cardinals podcast. We'll be back. Myself, Bo Brock, Damien Anderson. Until tomorrow, we will see you on the flip side. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good evening.